fun. Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. I'm Dr. Tamara Beckford, and welcome to the Dr. Tamara Beckford Show. That's right, where I have the honor, the privilege of highlighting all my beautiful and wonderful docs who are doing amazing things inside and outside of medicine. I know you're going to really love today's show because I'm bringing one of my sisters, and I'm going to tell you all about her in a few seconds. But before I do so, I do want you guys to know that I just have three little tasks for you because I know you're going to really enjoy today's show. So, number one, I'd love for you, if you enjoy today's show, to go ahead to the website Your Caring Docs. That's www.urcaringdocs.com. That's right. We already have the Trinity. Okay, they know. That's right. Go to yourcaringdocs.com and go ahead and you'll see all my wonderful interviews. I have over 100 of them there. Lots of info, lots of wisdom, lots of beautiful stories. Doctor doing amazing things inside and outside of medicine. So go click the listen here button, right? So anybody that you want to see, look at their beautiful face, click that listen here button, listen to their stories, all the great things, and then leave at least a 5-star review. If you do have an Apple device, yes, I would love for you to share your comments, leave us a review, let us know how you enjoyed the show, right? Now, I'm going to let you know that this show, since November of 2021, we have been booked out every 3 months, solid. If you are a doctor who are you're doing amazing things inside and outside medicine, you want to be highlighted, just go to Dr. Beckford at yourcaringdocs.com. That's Dr. Beckford at yourcaringdocs.com. Send an email, and then we'll try to get you booked for the show. So time it. Every 3 months. Yes, we're booked out 3 months in advance, and that's a blessing. That's a blessing right there. All righty. So now I'm going to introduce my sister, right? I see people already in the comments. You guys are up in their comments, blowing it up already. So this wonderful doctor friend of mine, she is a graduate from the University of the West Indies. So all my UWI massive, that's right, University of the West Indies. She did her residency in pediatrics at University of Miami. So all of you guys who did the University of Miami, yes. She is also been a consultant for many years at Mount Hope Children's Hospital. And she's been the past president of the Paediatric Society of Trinidad and Tobago. That's right. So my sister today is from Trinidad. She is the CEO of Frontier Kids Care, Frontier Kids Care there in Trinidad. I'm talking about the one and only Dr. Rosemary Thomas. Woo! Oh, my Trinity myself. Trinidad.
Oh,
Trinidad. Yes, right, my people. Yes. Thank you so much for joining. Oh, we have some University of Medicine Miami grads, alumni in there. Yes.
Wow.
How are you, How are you, Dr. Thomas? How you doing?
I am good. I am so excited to be interviewed by someone I consider the Oprah of doctors. She's the Oprah. So it's really fun to be here, and I'm so happy to see you again.
Yes, TNT massive. I see them blowing it up. All the TNT people. That's right. Trinidad and Tobago in the house. Alrighty. So I'm super excited to have you here. Really, really excited to get you all the way from Trinidad onto this lovely show. Now, I want to find out, Dr. Rosemary Thomas, as I do with all my guests, let's take it back. And you let me know what made you decide to go into medicine in the first place.
Well, I think it was just osmosis.
Okay.
There was no real desire. When you're younger, you just study well, you do work in those days. You're a doctor, lawyer. My parents were, teachers and university lecturers. So it was sort of, they always wanted us to serve, and serve humanity. So I went into it. My brothers are doctors as well. It's 3 of us. So that it was just something you went into. But once I got into it, I actually really began to enjoy certain parts of it more than others.
Love it. So, we have our parents who are always a great influence on us. And your parents are teachers, which ironically you also, because we know, like, right, the Latin word for teacher, doctor. So essentially you went in and you're also a doctor, which is a teacher. But you said that, I love that you're saying that, the element of serving is what brought you into it.
Yeah.
So service, serving, and really taking care of others. Now, while you're there, like we said, we have a lot of different specialties in medicine.
Yes.
But you decided to take care of the itty bitty, the tiny ones, the vulnerable ones. So tell me, what made you decide to do pediatrics?
Right. Well, when you do all your different electives and so on, I did, I liked pathology and was very good at it. But somehow when I came to pediatrics, something came alive in me and I just loved it. I had great mentors like Dr. David Bratt and other people like that, really, really well-trained and exemplary pediatricians. And I just thought, this is so much fun. You get to play with kids all the time and you get to talk to mom. So the teacher part of me, I guess, liked that helping and teaching. And then the kid in me, maybe the artist, whatever it is, liked being with kids and playing because play is children's work. So it's work you're doing, but in that form of play. So that's probably where pediatrics stuck with me.
I love it. The kid in you said the kid in you came out on that rotation, you came alive. And that's one of the things that's like such a passion, right? When you're trying to figure out different avenues in your life where you want to go, and then you get introduced to something that makes you come alive. Like, how powerful is that? And what a blessing also to be able to find something that makes you do come alive and say, well, this is what I want to pursue. So, this is it. Now, one of the things is that we did our medical school in Jamaica. Hello, all my JA people. Yes, me.
Jamaica. Oh my gosh. Do you know, when I was little, we lived in Jamaica.
Really?
Yeah, I was about maybe 3 or 4. So when I went back, it seemed like coming home in a different sense because, I consider myself part Jamaican. I was really small when we lived in Jamaica. So yeah,
I love it. Love it. Yes. So, there we go. We went back in Jamaica. We had it as like, we said like the infancy stage, and you went back in med school, and then you did your training at the University of Miami, as we mentioned. So now you're in Miami, but you opened up your wonderful practice in Trinidad. So tell me, what made you go back, we'll say home, to open up that practice? What was going on at that point?
Yeah, well, at that point, when I was a resident in Jackson Memorial University of Miami, I used to be up at night, when you're on call and you're waiting for kids to come up to the floor, and we had a really antiquated computer room with a really old box of a computer and one book on practice management. Anyway, I used to dream about what sort of practice I would have when I got back home. And, I just always wanted to serve, people, the whole world, but my particular people, the West Indian people, because I felt we needed that. And I wanted to bring the gifts and the information, the knowledge, the wisdom back home. While I was there, I was offered a fellowship in developmental pediatrics, but I thought, I think I'll come back home and then take it from there. And then I just stayed.
I love it. So brought all of that, all the knowledge that you acquired throughout your travels, which we could say, right? So, we have the medical school, we have the training, we've acquired all that knowledge, and we decided to bring it back home to give it to our people and to really distill all of that lovely wisdom right there on, your island. Yes. Someone says a lovely story. Yes, absolutely. It is a lovely story. I'm going to say that this is probably Tamara Peart. I'm Tamara, and that's probably Tamara Peart who's saying it's a lovely story. So now, we're here. And one of the things as we're talking about distilling wisdom is that we have parents And, you know, as a pediatrician, you get to take care of the lovely kids, and then you get to interact with the parents. Now, one thing that happened when people become parents is, oh my gosh, their lives have changed forever. And there's a level of anxiety that comes with that, right? I'm a new parent. I'm so good. Oh my gosh, am I going to break my kid? And that's always our fear. Am I going to break my kid? So now we're going to go over this wonderful distilled wisdom that you have been over 25 years have been distilling to your lovely patients and their parents. So we're going to go over some of this great wisdom. We're starting off from the newborn. So please help me with our anxious parents who are anxious with newborns. What are some wisdom that you could distill to that patient population for our parents?
Oh my God, it is the newborn mom and dad. They're the most, they come in and they're so worried. But, I tell parents, I try to tell them that it begins before delivery. So if you can get a lot of information before, then when you go into delivery, you're kind of more calm about what to do and what to expect, so that the unexpected doesn't really derail you completely. I mean, things happen, but you kind of are less anxious if you're prepared. So that's important to do. And like I even offer like free telehealth visits to new parents so that they can talk to me. We can talk about the birth plan, about do you plan to breastfeed or formula feed, which suits you, and how are you going to get it done, what's going to come and help you when you get home, how are you going to rest between the baby and prepare for this new phase, which is, it really takes you off guard, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The new phase takes you off guard. So I love that you're saying, so for all our newborn parents and those who are parents to be, the preparation for this begins before the baby's born. So while you're there, while you are pregnant, let's start gathering all our family, all our friends. We say get the village together, get all of your information together so that you're not caught off guard, right? What are some of the things that catches people off guard? We will say, oh my gosh, I just had the baby. Oh my God, did I break them? What catches them off guard that you've noticed?
Well, I want to say one thing. Yes, it's good to have family, but everybody has to be on the same page, because, up to today, I saw a mom and she was super anxious. But the problem was she knew baby, and everybody was telling her something different.
Ooh.
She came
yes.
My mother-in-law, bless them, but mother-in-laws and mothers even, they come from a different viewpoint sometimes. So I always say everybody needs to, even they should come together so that the parents can know, well, this is what I want to do. Because if mother-in-law says one thing and you're like this, you never know what to do, and
so you still end up confused.
Yeah, so it's good to have the extended family. In the West Indian situation, we always have extended family, but it can sometimes hinder an anxious or somewhat insecure mother. I mean, we're all insecure. When I had my first child a couple of years ago, he had a lot of colic, and I would be walking down the street and people will say, that baby has colic, right? And I'm like, how do you know? Because you have no socks on, there's no cap on the head, you're taking the baby out in the dew. And you as even though you're a doctor and you know things, you begin to question yourself. So what I say to new mothers is, don't question yourself, trust your instinct. But while you're developing it, get someone that you can trust who could guide you along the way, so that you don't listen to all these voices which come at you telling you different things and getting off track.
I love it. You just said something that my son, when he was born, was in the NICU. And that's one of the best advice that I received from that pediatrician. She says, today, you're no longer a doctor. You're not a parent.
Yes.
You're a mom. Trust your mother's instinct.
Yes.
Trust your parental instinct. So that's a great way to start off the journey in parenthood. Alrighty. So now now they're walking and they're trying to talk.
All us. I have to tell you one thing though too. I think even in the newborn period, we advise exclusive breastfeeding as the first start, and lots of moms have trouble with that or need help. So, you know, the pediatrician is there to guide them along these different paths, whichever you want to do. We're here to guide you and to be a good enough parent. That's the important thing. At each stage, we are here to help you to be a good enough parent. You don't have to be excellent. You don't have to get it all right.
It doesn't have to be picture perfect.
Right? No, it's a journey, but you know, you have to know that it's a journey and it will take time, and eventually the foundation is the most important part. So we dealt with the newborn, and that's the foundation. Now the toddlers. Oh my God, they're my favorite group.
Oh, I have one. They're honest. That's one thing they are.
Honest. You just have to love them. They are just so adorable because they want to be independent, right?
Yes.
And the major thing at this stage is setting boundaries.
Okay.
I saw about 3 toddlers today, and they were like just amazing. But oh my God, the parents were like, crazy. So we have something we call making the terrible twos terrific, because it's what you call it that it becomes.
Ooh.
So if you call it terrible, well, it's going to be terrible. If you call it terrific mindset stuff, then we're going to work on making it terrific.
I love it.
There'll be some bumps, but it's terrific. So the major thing at that stage is boundaries. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Everybody has to be on the same page. So mother, father, grandparents, auntie, whoever. So if the bottle should be stopped at a year, the bottle should be stopped at a year. The children are really smart, so they will go to
they're great negotiators.
You know, so if a 2 is on the bottle, which is how they sometimes are, they'll go to whoever has the leaky boundaries, you know?
Yes.
So if it's mom or dad or granny or whoever, well, that's where they go, and they know that they can weave through and get their way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Same page. Your yes has to be yes, and your no has to be no.
All righty, well, here we are. We said we're changing the narrative of the toddler's phase, right? So if you want to have a terrible phase, then you will call it terrible. But it's best to change that mindset and bring it over to the terrific. So we're having a terrific 2, the terrific toddler phase.
Yes.
And as you mentioned, boundaries are important because those little negotiators, they are little negotiators. They know how to negotiate their way to get extra time, extra treats, and they will go to whomever. So everyone has to be on the same page during that time. So that will help to bring that anxiety down for our parents who are dealing with the toddlers, those negotiators.
Yes, and I have to tell you, terrible twos starts at 9 months and goes beyond 18 years if you're not careful.
Oh, there we go.
Yes. So you have to, I always tell my parents, you know, it's like a child can be molded up to age 5, right? So it's like Play-Doh. You're molding, it's soft and pliable, you can mold. After age 5, it's like concrete, you're hard. It's very hard to change the narrative. And so you can teach or you can model behavior, but you cannot really take things and change unless you crack it or mash it, which of course we can't do. So up to age 5, that's your time to get it right in terms of, you know, feeding, in terms of eating food, in terms of behavior, toilet training, and all discipline, especially.
Especially in discipline. Wow. So we have 5 years to mold into that person, you know, starting from the foundation that we want. All righty. Well, we talked about the toddler phase. Now we're in the infancy, the childhood phase. There are a lot of things that goes on within that childhood phase that brings a lot of anxiety. So now I'm no longer a toddler, but I know everything.
Yes.
Yet I still don't. So let's go ahead. This is the childhood before we get to the pre-adolescent phase. What are some great advice for our anxious parents in that phase?
Well, you know, so this is your school age.
The school age kids.
And you know, but you know, my logo up there, part of it anyway, is kids are gifts. So those gifts, you unlocking full potential. So that the kids become gifts to the world that you release to the world. So we continue to make them gifts. And I think at the childhood phase, of course, discipline still is very important. They're not going to school, they have to interact with other kids. And we have so many challenges because of the pandemic that children have been home for 2 years. So they're going into school with a lot of anxiety.
Absolutely.
The parents are super out the door anxious as well because, you know, it's a new thing. Some of these kids haven't seen school ever. They're not going into school with a mask on still. We're still wearing masks. And there's so much anxiety about that. So I think with this school-age children, I think the parents have to be dealing with their own concerns and worries first. Because, you know, it's like when you go in a plane, they tell you, parent, put on your oxygen mask first, then deal with your child. So if the parents are in some turmoil, obviously it will filter down to the child, and they present with, at that age, psychosomatic symptoms like headaches and bellyache and tantrums still, and, you know, holding on very regressive behavior, you know, like bedwetting and stuff. And, you know, actually, either some kids are withdrawn and some are just the other way.
Right.
You know, so every child is different, and the parent has to know their child and know what would be great for one child is not for the other.
Absolutely. The comparison, but knowing them individually and having them, like you said, they're gifts to the world. So at that point, it's knowing them individually and helping them to unlock the gifts, because they're gifts to the world, but they probably haven't realized it within themselves. Yes. So at that point, it's like, you know, we were dealing with an unprecedented time, as you mentioned, you know, because we are dealing with a pandemic and so on. So yes, we are anxious as parents, but we deal with our level of anxiety and then also help our kids to model some of that and to unlock the potential that's at that phase. That's where it's a lot of it's really building, and so that they can build that confidence too. All righty, so now we are at the pre-adolescent.
Oh Lord, the tweens.
Yes, the tweens.
Oh, another favorite.
I am so this or the mom.
Oh my God.
Yes, the rolling eyes phase.
Yes. They are something else. And, you know, again, they're into high school now, and you have the peer pressure, you know, and, you know, you have children who, again, approach school differently. They're sort of getting ready to go into high school. Now, in Trinidad and Tobago, we have an entrance exam to get into high school, which is, I don't know, it's the most anxiety-producing exam you could ever have for the parents. And the children. You know, the parents are like absolutely anxious, and the children are.
I remember I took that exam.
Yeah, and they're worried about, especially with the pandemic and the difference in schooling. Parents are super worried about how their child is going to cope with school in this new reality. So what I do a lot at the visits, because sometimes people come for one thing, like an ear infection or whatever, but really, Dr. Tamara, there's anxiety behind that. So the real anxiety is not necessarily what they came for. 90% of the times, the anxiety is, am I being a good enough parent? I have to work and I leave my child at home sometimes because, you know, there's no one to stay with them at home, or, you know, I don't know what to do about this thing. Mom and dad are not together or whatever. I'm a single parent, or even if parents are together, it's just plain old tough.
Absolutely. And we're not making light of it. It is tough being a parent, and we're acknowledging that.
And so, you know, you have to sort of help the parents to understand that it was okay to take a pause. School has not happened in the way we know it for almost 2 years. A lot of it has been online. Now we have some hybrid things, and now the kids are out. And they're really not prepared for this new thing. It's like 2 years, you know, of doing something different. So habits are important here, you know, getting to bed early, eating healthily, getting your vitamin F. You know what your vitamin F is, right? Do you know what vitamin F is?
No, which one is that one?
Food.
Oh, okay. Vitamin. I always thought it was vitamin fun.
Yeah, fun too, but you have to eat healthily, your vegetables and
Absolutely.
fiber. And, again, kids in the last 2 years have not been eating properly.
Yes.
So that, you have to get back into eating, peas and, things with fiber and vegetables and all that kind of stuff. And they've kind of been on a whatever.
Yeah, it's
for a
really,
while.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. So we've had some people in the chat who are really giving you a great shout out. I think it's important for you to see some of these things. So we
Oh,
have Sunita Mohammed who's saying Dr. Rosemary Thomas is indeed a phenomenal physician, and her vibrant personality infuses in her patients and kids with love. Yes, and then we have Tamara Peer that's saying, thank you, Dr. Beckford and Dr. Thomas. Great conversation, very informative. I do remember my grandmother using the word colic in Jamaica. Yes, colic. Yeah, man, yeah, colic. And thank you so much. We have Robert Bonilla that's saying this is great. And then wonderful Dr. Tiara Abu. That's right. She says, I love it. And so she is emphasizing and re-emphasizing what we say with our parents when things become overwhelming. You feel it is okay to take a pause. We have had situations over the last 2 years that's unprecedented, as we said. It's different. Our kids are going through a different phase. So not only are they transitioning from one phase to the other, those hormones are transitioning too. And we know that when things are stable, the hormones are still crazy, much less for us that's going on right now. So it's okay for our kids, for us and for the kids to take a pause, regroup, and then see how we can move on. Alrighty, so we have just done the pre-adolescent. I'm just to this, and you don't understand. So now we're in the adolescent phase. Yes. So now I'm getting a little bit older. I'm more mature. I look at myself as an adult. Because on the outside, I might look a little bit like an adult. However, I am still growing. There's still growth that's going on the inside, but I don't want to hear all of that. Let's talk to those parents who are dealing with that.
That's the hardest. I think that's the hardest phase, actually.
Yes.
It all depends on, a lot of it is what you've done from before. But even if you've done your best and your life circumstances that happen and all of that, Absolutely. It is a difficult phase. They want to be super independent again. They think they know everything. And they generally don't want to come and see the pediatrician.
Yes.
Especially the boys. Do we have to go to the pediatrician? So what I do is I have a special room for the teenagers. And they all know they can get their little small lollipops, 25 calories. Then you have pens and bands, and they kind of, this wasn't so bad.
Right.
And because they don't want to be seen with the little kids. But
Absolutely.
once you know how to talk to them, and sometimes you have to let the parents stay outside, talk to them, and then bring the parents back in, or at least ask them, do you want your mom in the room? They're like, most of them say yes, but sometimes, and sometimes the mothers themselves say, no, she can do the visit by herself, and then I'll come in at the end.
Oh,
so
it's exerting a little bit of independence.
Yes, and I think at this stage, the major thing is resilience. Okay, you have to build resilience, because what I notice is children who do not have resilience are not kids who survive this pandemic period. Because unprecedented changes, it's different school, it's different skills you have to learn. I always tell the parents two things. One, get the kids involved in the chores and so on. And the kids rolling their eyes like, oh my God, why did we come to the doctor today?
Why is she trying to add work?
Why did we come to the doctor today? But getting them to be responsible for within the family, not just doing baking cookies alone. That's nice. But if you can help them to make breakfast for everyone on a Sunday or a Saturday, then, they have a sense of mastery. And develop resilience. And that sense of mastery will take them through difficult challenges later on in life. Because remember, we're preparing them for challenges later on in life. So we have to give them resilience and a sense of mastery. A child who says, oh, I can make this, so I made this part of the lunch, or I can dance this, or I drew, or I whatever, they are going to be okay. They're going to
I
be good.
love it. So my walls, the portraits I remember my my brother when he was, I think he might have been 2.5. When I came in the room, I saw a whole family portrait on the wall.
Yes.
Yeah, he's now 25.
Oh, yes.
That was scary.
He's
But
an emerging adult now.
Yes, he's very resilient, and so that's good. It's good to see that development that occurs over the age. And I love that you said that, allowing the resilience that they build at that phase, the adolescence, the 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old, that it really starts with us exerting some of that level of independence early and allowing them to do things, to learn how to do things, to incorporate them in the family. So, I mean, at times we've had, sometimes the mindset is, oh, I can do this for my kids, to show them how much I love them. I'm doing it for them. So let's talk about that, right? I see you shaking your head.
I keep shaking my head every day because, I mean, I'm a parent. I have 2 emerging adults. And it's tough even now because they didn't expect things to be like this.
Right.
And so, but if you do everything for them, what they call helicopter parents, then they really cannot survive the real world later on. And remember, we're preparing them for the real world. Many times parents feel that their children are going to be with them forever. No, we're like a nest, like the home is a nest, preparing them to fly.
Right.
So if we do not prepare them to fly, we will be crippling them. And then when they go out there, they just can't handle it. And that's why we're seeing so much depression and anxiety in teenagers these days. I think worldwide it's about a 40% increase in depression and anxiety. And certainly at home, our psychiatrists, pediatric psychiatrists are saying they're seeing at least about a 30% increase in depression, anxiety, children, teens cutting themselves.
Right, yes.
Parasuicide and stuff like that. And even suicide, unfortunately. So that is, in my mind, a little bit of a lack of resilience. Now you have 2 types of parents, You find sort of middle-class parents just do every single thing for their children, and they can't do anything for themselves because they've just been coddled. And the parents may be fearful in the sense that they don't want them to mess up. They want them to be perfect. They want them to go to a good school and a good this and a good that. And that's not really, anybody could learn anything anytime. But the skills of life you can learn, really, if you learn them now, you carry them with you wherever you go. Right?
Absolutely.
And you have other parents who just leave their kids to do whatever with no supervision. Some of it because they can't afford to monitor their children as carefully. And those children also go off track. So you have essentially all children in different ways can sort of be a little bit off kilter, as it were, as we prepare for this adult period. And I tell parents to, like, learning in terms of schooling. We give all kinds of advice at the visits because
that's the distilling the wisdom.
The wisdom.
Absolutely.
They call it, what we call learning is you want to learn skills. So at the teenage year, you learn skills. We call them stackable credentials. So, in our time, we just studied, and we did other things. But now the new world order is calling for a different type of child, young adult, someone who is multi-layered and who can do this and this and this and this. Lots of skills. So if something happens here, you can fill in here with, financing yourself and stuff like that.
Transferable skills.
Stackable credentials. So, we try to talk about that at the teen visits so that they can start thinking about something else apart from just books and that will get them. Academics is important, but really the skills are even more important right now.
That is Oh, we have, yes, Dr. Corden in Trinidad. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. She's one of our OBGYNs and she has a wonderful interview. Yes, there. So, I love that you're talking about the transferable skills, in the teenage years in order to really make it through in life. Like you said, if one thing does not work out the way that they want, then they might be able to transfer those skills, those stackable skills, which I love, to something else to still be able to sustain themselves. And interestingly, so my kids are in preschool and there was a day that the preschool had for us, parents. They had a little Zoom meeting and going over the developmental stages, and that's exactly what they talk about now in Senate, and this is for the 3-year-old and my 5-year-old, which is about learning those skills, that it's not about padding our kids resume with a lot of school activities, but like learning transferable skills, because in the future it's important for them to be able to sustain and to be able to thrive on their own. So it's interesting, so now, because of the stage where I was when I was growing up, it was get your books, your books, your books, your books. It was all about the books. So you got that straight A, and it was great. But as you mentioned, transferable skills are even more important now than just having just the good grades. Love it.
And grow some, attend to a garden and grow anything, lettuce and different things. First of all, they're actually, learning to feed themselves, which is, in this new time of environmental
the changes and scarcity that's going on.
Food scarcity, it's important that they know where the food comes from. They can actually help to prepare it, and so that's so important,
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So I love all the distilled wisdom. So now, okay, so this is a personal story. So my pediatrician, now I thought when I was a kid that I was just going to have her forever, Dr. Susan Boutros. She was in New Jersey. She's now since retired. She ended up being my brother's pediatrician too. And that year when she told me, oh, this will be our last visit, oh, my heart broke. Now, how do we safely transfer these children off to their adult doctors? I was like, what do you mean this is our last visit? So this is the last part of our distilled wisdom.
That's really funny because, as I said, the teens didn't always want to come for visits, but when it's time to leave, they don't want to go. Yes. They tell me, Rosemary, I'm not going anywhere. The parents say the same thing, by the way. The teens say, they come back. They come back. And I'm like, you're 21. It's goodbye. No, Dr. Rosemary, we don't want to go anywhere else.
And you have it till 21. Woo, that was good.
If a child has something that was maybe chronic-ish, I would just hold their hand. Like if you have sickle cell or something like that. I think it's okay to sort of do a hybrid sort of thing. I do put them on to other doctors and other clinics. And the funny thing, Dr. Tamara, is I'm beginning to see them come back with their own babies. Oh. So I have a few that I used to look after as teens, maybe not as babies, but as teen, and now they are coming with babies and husbands.
Their babies.
Oh. What is this?
Now we're on second generation, as we said, right?
Generation, a little bit, not too much, but some.
Yes.
But the thing is, I think once you've prepared them well, you are happy that you've done their visit to go out into the world, and they have all their vaccines to get. Make sure they get the human papilloma vaccine for cervical cancer and whatever else they need to get, and whatever advice they need to get to send them out. But I have to tell you, they keep coming back.
They do keep coming back. Yes.
Back, but
that's wonderful.
So this is the last time, right?
No, Dr. Rosemary, it's not the last time.
I send them out gently.
Gently roll them.
Okay, just push you out gently.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so I love all the wisdom that we have distilled. So we've talked about the newborn parent, about preparing from before you have the baby, about also the additional advice that you can get from everyone, with trusting your own instinct as a parent. Be thankful, grateful. Thank you all for the village that's helping, but also trust in your own, in order. The goal is to not increase your level of anxiety through that process. And then we talked about the not frame it as the terrible two, but the terrific two for those toddlers who are just, they know it all, but they just can't speak yet. But they're doing it. And then we have the childhood phase that we talked about, really distilling and really letting them see that their potential, the gifts, unlocking the gifts within that childhood phase, the teenage, the pre-teens, teenage years, where we're really modeling some of what's going on. We're really at that phase, understanding that there's been a lot of a transition, but we're handling it first as parents, reducing our levels of anxiety, and then helping them to do the same. And then we got to the high school years, where we're really just preparing them, doing a lot of stackable skills, and letting them know that in the high school years, academic is important, but skill building is even more important in order for you to survive when we gently roll you out as you become an adult and you're no longer in the phase where you need to be seen by a pediatrician, but probably by an internal medicine or family medicine doctor. So this is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful advice for all our parents, out there. If you're feeling anxious, just come back to this wonderful interview. Dr. Rosemary Thomas has really laid it out for all the different phases. Now, we're not leaving. No, Dr. Thomas. Now I need to know about you. So we done talked about everybody else. We talked about all the parents and all the kids, but I want to know, Dr. Rosemary, what are you doing for self-care?
Well, first of all, I come to my garden a lot. I used to dance a lot, but since COVID, we haven't danced socially. I dance ballroom and rumba, and I like partying, soca music, and all of that. Nothing like that. I put the dance on pause. It's slow, slow, quick, slow. Well, we're on the slow phase.
Yes.
So I do a lot of gardening. I grow some, like small fruit trees, like I have West Indian cherry and passion fruit, and I grow all sorts of different teas like mint and ginger, and it's very relaxing to get up in the morning. And even though I have a watering system, I water things. You have to give them extra love.
Oh, yes.
That early morning time. In the morning too, I get up, I pray, I sit down, I talk to God and thank Him for the blessings of the day, and I meditate on scriptures, and then I water my garden. And then I try to prepare something healthy to eat. That hasn't been doing so well.
Hey, that's the thing. That's why I call this phase is a progress, right? It's not I arrive. You always progress.
It's a progression. And then because I am, as a physician, especially pediatrician, you do get what we call auditory overload.
Yes.
Whereby you're listening to children, you're listening to the parents, like, this is going on all day.
Right.
And you have some period after to just, limit the auditory overload and just sort of have a quiet time to just come down again and turn everything and just relax. I read a lot as well. And I love design and stuff like that. So I design some of the landscape in my garden. I have a little bed and breakfast sometimes. So I have guests, they have high tea, and I do lots of things.
I love it.
Joy, yes.
Oh, wow. So you have a plethora of things that you have together that you can use in order to fulfill that garden of self-care within you.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it. Love it. All righty. So now, if you weren't a doctor, this is one of my questions to everybody. So now here it is. Now I'm gonna lay a lot of things off. So now you have to really think. So if you weren't a doctor, a gardener, designer, dancer, what would you be?
Maybe I'd be a fashionista. I don't know.
I love it.
been, you see, you only come to yourself as you grow. I'm in my golden years, as it were. But, I'm only now beginning to understand myself fully and becoming who I really was meant to be. It's like, it's like the second time around. It's like, you're discovering things that you didn't know about yourself.
Right.
I've always liked fashion and so on and style. But maybe I'd love to help women, especially professional women, how to dress professionally and, help them along with that maybe. I don't know.
I love it. A fashionista.
Sort of.
No, but that's the thing. That's like we said, this is the imagination. This is like so no capping on our thoughts. Yes, I love it. So I'm wondering now as I go through my Rolodex in my mind, if there were anyone else who was a fashionista. So we've had some interior designers. We actually had 3. So we have Dr. Una. We had Dr. Jeannie Lawrence, and then my best friend, Dr. Kemi Doris Fataju, who, so all 3 of those like designing, and I'm pretty sure you would probably fit in that category.
I love designing,
Yes, love. Okay, so
something like that,
Absolutely. Alrighty, so now we have this wonderful interview that's on, and we've done it almost an hour now, and people are probably like, wow, I love her. I want to find out more about Dr. Rosemary Thomas. And they're like, you know what? I have an aunt in Trinidad and her daughter is looking for a pediatrician. I know someone who's looking for a pediatrician in Trinidad. I would love to find out where this doctor is so I can tell my family member about her. So let them know where they can find you, Dr. Rosemary Thomas.
Yeah. Well, we're Frontier Kids Care everywhere. So the website is Frontier Kids Care, Instagram, Frontier Kids Care, Facebook, LinkedIn, and our YouTube channel, where we prescribe more distilled wisdom and interview amazing experts, is also Frontier Kids Care. So Frontier Kids Care.
On all things. So there we are, Frontier Kids Care. So now suppose I'm in Trinidad. Where am I going to find you? Because I might touch down.
I'm near the University of the West Indies in Europe. So I'm near to this place of learning and stuff like that.
Love it. Right there near the University of West Indies there. So Frontier Kids Care is where you can find Dr. Rosemary Thomas distilling her wisdom. That's FRONTIER, Kids, KIDS, Care, CARE, Frontier Kids Care. So she's on all social media platforms as Frontier Kids Care. So if you are going to touch down in Trinidad, like we like to say, touchdown is kind of like a Caribbean phrase to me, like, we're going to visit. So that's so then you just contact her, Frontier Kids Care. She'll be able to let you know. So if you have a family member that's trying to get a wonderful, excellent pediatrician in Trinidad, we know Dr. Rosemary Thomas is the person for you. Now, for those of you guys who are watching this wonderful interview, I know you loved it because I absolutely did. The amount of wisdom that was distilled in this short period of time is just unparalleled. So if you want to see more wonderful interviews, do not forget that you can go onto our website. That's yourcaringdocs.com. That's URCARINGDOCS.com. Select podcasts. You'll see all our wonderful guests, beautiful faces. That's right. Just click the listen here and you'll hear this wonderful podcast. And then you can leave a wonderful review. If you are using an Apple device, let us know. We love those 5 stars. Love those 5-star reviews. Now, if you are a physician and you're doing amazing things inside and outside of medicine, and you're like, you know what, I want to jump on that show and let them know all the wonderful things that I'm doing, do not hesitate to send me an email at drbeckford@yourcaringdocs.com. That's Dr. Beckford at yourcaringdocs, URCARINGDOCS.com, and book. And keep in mind that we have been booked 3 months in advance, so time it, because we want to get you on distilling your wonderful wisdom here as Dr. Rosemary Thomas did. So Rosemary Thomas from Trinidad, let me say now, before you go, do you have a little advice for our people out there? Let's give a last word.
Last word is, I saw Mom today and I said, Mom, she's with a teenager. Mm-hmm. It's toxic out there, so take it down. Mm-hmm. She says, I'm going to write that down. I like that. It's toxic. It's just too
it's
much.
just very hectic.
Just take it down a couple notches and just ignore people who are getting in your space to make you anxious. You know, just
Right.
blinkers
So
on.
we can do blinkers on, and we can we can ignore the noise, so we
Stop
can
listening to
focus
those other
on
voices.
the external
It will
noise.
help
Love
with
it,
your
love it, love it. All righty. So our last word is that it's Tizik out there. Come on. It's Tizik. So guys, take it down a notch, right? So translation, you can put your blinkers on and we can ignore some of the external noise so we can focus on what we have and want to do. And that'll help us to reduce some of that anxiety. Thank you, Dr. Rosemary Thomas, so much for stopping by. Let's say bye to all those. Thank you all. Bye bye.